Morning and welcome in to another episode of the Bearcat Brunch, brought to you as always by our wonderful partners at Royal Links Golf Tours. Have you always wanted to play golf at St. Andrews? Have you ever enjoyed a perfect pint of Guinness in Ireland? Well, Royal Links Golf Tours is a golf tour specialist offering unforgettable golf experiences to Scotland, England, Ireland, and Wales. Their custom itineraries are more than golf trips, they are immersive cultural and country experiences that will surprise and delight you both on and off the course. Royal Links Golf Tours is owned by former Bearcat quarterback Hayden Moore and his partner UC alum Jeff Bartholomew. So if you'd like to play St. Andrews or Ballybunion or enjoy that perfect pint of Guinness in Ireland, visit their website at royallinksgolftours.com or call them at 770-331-1525. And with that, we are off. I am flying solo right now. Seems the team is sorry for the delay. The team is their parts are unknown at this point. So I am kind of flying by the seat of my you know what here, trying to figure out what we're going to talk about, how we're going to do this, how I'm going to get all this up on Twitter. It's not usually what I do. So let's just have a podcast and we'll figure it all out. Obviously, the Bearcats full yesterday, 30-10 at home on homecoming to Iowa State in a game that we can talk about stats, we can talk about execution, we can talk about coaching, you can talk about it all after this one. Right from just starting at the top of just seeming to be completely unprepared, completely unmotivated, a lack of energy. You know, you have a couple close losses. You have some things you feel good about, some things you need to obviously fix. You have an off week. You have an extra day even. You're at home. I don't know if we necessarily called it that, but a must win, and you just come out so utterly flat. You know, obviously the first time you have the ball, another miss on what would have been an easy touchdown. Emory Jones overthrows D. Wiggins, and then kind of from that point on, you had the solid drive and the nice pass to Shaman. But I mean, I didn't write anything down because I was just like fed up. But I mean, you had a throw you have to be able to make, a throw you can't make on the interception to TJ Tampa, where he just falls off his guy and undercuts the route. I mean, it's a pretty simple zone concept and play that you should expect a guy of TJ Tampa's caliber to make. And then, Jordan Young drops an interception. You get a roughing the passer on a play that would have forced them to kick a field goal. They score a touchdown on the next play. You give up a 41-yard and I believe a 72-yard kickoff return. You give up a 75-yard. Jordan Young gives up a 75-yard, I believe it was, catch and run. Just down the sideline, felt like he ran with the guy for 20 yards before he tried to push him out of bounds. But it all comes back to the fact that team looked totally unprepared and completely just ambivalent of the stakes, the time and place in the season, and just was ugly. It was an ugly performance. The first half performance was really one of the most, disheartening and just overall unentertaining halves of football we've had to watch in a long time. Having guys ready to play, and there's going to be losses. We've experienced losses, but I don't feel like we've, in the last, I don't know how many years, certainly in the Fickle era, you never really had to question whether players were going to be ready to go and players were going to have everything at their disposal, and you just didn't feel that way Saturday. So that's where you're left with, and kind of figure out what happens from here. You have a quarterback in Emory Jones that I'm not willing to say has been even the main problem, but it's clear that they're regressing offensively. And call it what it is. I mean, you're going backwards. Iowa State, very fine defense, but clearly there were some plays to be made. You throw for 99 yards on I think 26 attempts. Just guys, nothing open down the field. Lots of swing passes. Again, guys not breaking tackles. But and I'm not even sure that it's the correct answer, and it might be an overreaction, and I understand how it plays in the locker room when you're basically signaling that you're like giving up on a season. But with 6 games to go, I think it's time to find out, maybe give the Bradys some snaps in practice, see if that works over to the games. Like I said, not putting this all at the feet of Emory, but I don't know if you can go into next season, and this is the hard part of it, and this is the crappy part of it with older guys, signaling to them that, we're kind of starting to look to next year. But with a new coaching staff, I think it's totally understandable. Like, they need to figure some stuff out. And if that means seeing what, are you playing both the Bradys out the rest of this year? Are you playing, Brady Drogish some in the last 4 games to potentially keep a red shirt? Just because it's not mainly Emory's fault doesn't mean that they shouldn't be preparing themselves for what next season looks like. Do you need to go get another transfer quarterback? You need to be able to find those things out and not find them out without those guys playing any significant minutes. Putting Brady Lichtenberg in at the end of the game yesterday, I don't know if it was an injury thing to Emory. I didn't really listen to anything post-game, or just a change. And sometimes that happens in games when you're not playing well, and Emory might start again next week. But, these conversations have to be had. You have to see what you have. You have to, have a good idea what these guys are moving into next year, when, you have a lot of seniors, you have a lot of transfer seniors. So that, some of these positions are going to be vastly different again. So you need to be able to have what you have in the quarterback position. But thank you to Nick, Marcus, Grant, GMAC, Josh for joining us this morning. I'll try to get to any questions you guys might have.
Hey, just wanted to point out that Brady Drogosh did play in EKU towards the end, so he would only have 3 games.
3 games to go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, Jeff. Good morning.
Hey. I'm showing up more than the UC team did yesterday.
Did you get a double? You got a double mimosa, maybe?
I wish I could say that was the thing. Long night at work.
The tailgate was fun and the game went fast. That was
So did that get you home in time to see actual football get played?
I got to watch a lot of Oregon, Washington. Yeah, it was an all right afternoon. But no, I mean, it's get your thoughts. I think I laid mine out pretty well already, but just kind of as you watch the game, as you then kind of took in whatever after the fact, what is kind of where do we go from here, man?
What if I told you?
No, we can't do that one today. That's for sure.
Things are just not getting better.
What if I told you that
they're in fact getting worse?
You threw for 99 yards and had like 2.9 yards a carry. This is exactly what would have happened if I told you that.
Yeah. So I'm kind of trying to look over here to see maybe if there were questions that popped up while I was not here. Let's see.
I mean,
things that I thought did you talk about Brady? Any of the Bradys maybe getting a shot to come in?
Yes. I mean, that was kind of my main thing, was that I don't necessarily, put this all at the feet of Emory Jones.
No.
But he's clearly not been playing well. He's consistently thrown that interception into a spot where he, whatever reason, didn't see a guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he threw the one against Oklahoma into double coverage where the safety, that's an easy ball for the safety to get. He threw the one against BYU. He threw the one against Miami where the linebacker was dropping. He threw the ball yesterday where he's trying to squeeze a ball over a corner and in front of a safety, and that's just an easy play for TJ Tampa to come off of his guy and intercept that ball. Like those interceptions, the one at the end of the half, I don't care about. But like
that's not gonna.
Too many times he's throwing interceptions on balls that you're just like, you just can't make that throw.
It's very much like, and I know we talked about it a few weeks ago where it was kind of like, does he make decisions on, it's like he makes a decision on who he's going to throw the ball to
right
prior, and regardless of what occurs with the defense moving around or, changing, doesn't matter. That's where I'm going. I'm not looking anywhere else. I'm not going to try to read like, okay, that might not be a good spot to go based on what I'm seeing from the defense. Pre-snap, or even, and I know they did a lot of like, at least it seemed like they did kind of a lot of, where they're dropping out and maybe guys move to different spots, but like you've got to adjust to that, and this is not what you expect to see from a quarterback that is not, a brand new kid coming into this level of football. This isn't his first stop, not even his second stop for that matter. Just the kind of mistakes that you can't have and win games.
Right. I mean, those are throws that I'm not a 60-year guy that's played in 3 offenses is not making those throws. Like, these aren't plays that the DBs are making great individual efforts on. They're not balls that are getting batted up in the air. They're just throws you can't make. What did we talk about Wednesday? Big plays in short fields, because Iowa State has, coming into this game, struggled to sustain drives. So what do? We gave him a short field on that interception, and we gave up how many big plays? I mean, two in special teams to give a team that struggles to drive the ball really good field position. 75 yard pass. I mean, like, and you got, and someone pointed out, you have 2 weeks to figure this stuff out and to get up for this game, and that's the performance. Like, it's just not acceptable. Like, I can stand for losing games. I can stand for losing games this year, knowing what our roster was and knowing the step up in competition. And in yesterday's game, I'm not going to say is more what I expected, but like, getting blown out wasn't going to surprise me this year. But like, getting blown out at home to a team that has the deficiencies that we've talked about for the last week, coming off of a bye, that sends off some pretty glaring alarm bells.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where, like, you look at Iowa State, and they're a team with a red shirt fresh. I think he's a red shirt freshman.
Yeah, I think so.
Quarterback. Obviously, like, as this season has gone on, we kind of like okay, that could be a team we could hang with, a team we can beat. Like you're this far into the season, 6 games in. The issues that you would talk about for the beginning of the year that we did talk about for the beginning of the year, where like all these new players coming together and like they're gonna maybe take some time to gel, and you can't really use that stuff 6 games into a season.
No, I mean,
and you
after
should be
what you
seeing
watched
improvement.
yesterday,
and you've got an Iowa State team that is doing those things. Like, I mean, Satterfield said it in the press conference, like, oh, they've improved, they've gotten better, they've done. Where I just we haven't seen that on our side of things.
No,
I haven't seen any improvement, and that's what brings me to the whole like. And I know like somebody over here was talking about putting Brady behind this offensive line and seeing if that. And like you also said, like you can't put everything at Emory's feet, but like at some point you got to change something.
Right.
And 6 games in, maybe that's a little bit of a change.
Yes, I'm absolutely for it. I mean, especially going to this game, Baylor, I thought these next 2 games were must wins if they were going to end up going 6-6. So, coming off of this type of a performance, it's really hard for me to go like, oh yeah, they can definitely win this game. Baylor is in as much of a mess as UC is. They cannot stop the run at all. If you can't get this stuff turned around, and if this isn't a time to put one or both of the Bradys in and play them, and then I don't know when it is. Because and I don't know what you're doing, how you're best preparing yourself, how you're best giving yourself a chance to, even if it's the worst case scenario and they go like 2-10 or something, you as the coaching staff still have to put yourself in the best case scenario to rebound from that next year.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say we're all going to like just cast it aside, but if you just like kind of run the string out with a bunch of older guys who aren't making plays, then you're not giving yourself the best chance for success in 2024. Whether it's with younger players or seeing that we need to hit the portal super hard again because these guys aren't it either.
Yeah, especially with the way the portal and all and transfers and that kind of thing works now, because who's to say that maybe you wouldn't need to hit it very hard in some places because of who you're using or who you're bringing into or who you're bringing off the bench to give them an opportunity. But the way things work now is if somebody's not happy where they're at, like you might not need to hit the portal in one spot, but if you don't give somebody an opportunity,
sure,
and they leave, you're going to have to hit the portal in that spot.
And I know it's very typical fandom. It's very knee jerk, and I try to stay away from it because we say make a change at any position. Well, we say that with the understanding that the person that they're replacing the starter with gives them a better chance to win. Because no one's going to go, yeah, this guy hasn't done shit all season in practice, and we're hoping that he transfers. Yeah. But let's put him in because the guy in front of him hasn't been very good. Like, the backup has to earn that right to go in. Now, quarterback, I think, is a little different. It's clear that something is going on. Like, Emory is making the same interception almost on a game-to-game basis. And they are just not, like I said, 99 yards passing. How
many passing yards? I think I saw
26 attempts, I believe. So you're down in like the 3 yard per pass completion or per pass attempt.
3.4.
Yeah. So,
I don't even want to pull up the game on paper.
I haven't looked at any of it.
Does it just look like Barney?
Donovan Ollie seems like a really good dude. He's out there a lot. He has 0 catches this year. Let's see something. Let's see Barry Jackson. Not that I'm not even saying that they play the same position, but like, let's see Stephen Bird. I know we had Ryan Montgomery and Ethan Wright were out yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm not saying turn the whole thing over to a bunch of freshmen and redshirt freshmen, but let's start seeing more of Jamal Williams on defense. Let's start seeing more of other younger guys that we need to find out, can they make a difference? Like the defense isn't bad enough to just get blown out, but it's not good enough to consistently get stops because they can't not give up the big play.
I don't know what else to say. Like the one touchdown they get was, or the touchdown they scored from like the 20. The only touchdown that they scored in the whole game, like just outside the 20, maybe. Like we're back to like hoping that it's at least that far out because they can't.
They're playing a 3-3-5 defense with a really good secondary, kind of begging you to attack the middle of the field and run the ball, and we couldn't run the ball. Like their weak link defensively is the defensive line and rush and getting run on a little bit because they're really good against the pass, so teams will do that. But and we just couldn't run it. I mean, Connor, I think, was 2.9 a carry. Miles had 4 carries. Emery ran it okay.
Yeah.
That should be a compliment to a 2-back system where we also have to worry about the quarterback. That should not be we can't do anything else.
Except for hope that our quarterback squirts out to the side or run, put like some, and I don't, those big, like the couple of like real big runs that he had, I don't know that those were necessarily even designed. It was almost, he just didn't have it. There was nothing else for him to do except for run for his life up the middle. And it was wide open because that's what that defense kind of lends itself to is, running up the middle and getting your yards there and hoping that you can, beat the second level a little bit.
Yeah.
And grab 8, 10, 12 yards. And apparently Emery, there you go. There's a compliment to it. That was about the only thing that he had going for him yesterday.
The offense stunk.
It was bad.
And if you're, you're supposed to have this, hey, you hired an offensive coach, guy that calls his own plays, has called his own plays for a long time, and it's supposed to be, hey, we're going to go to the Big 12. We're going to have an offense that, can move the ball, and we just haven't seen it, and it's gotten worse and worse. And that's the part that is infuriating because, what did you do for the last 2 weeks? What was you sat down and you watched tape, and you self-scouted for a week, and then you prepped for Iowa State, and you put together a game plan, and that was it. That was it.
10 points. And then you let this freshman quarterback
Nope. No, I mean, really. I mean, I know they're credited for having 2 sacks. I think they were more sacks because he scrambled and ran out of bounds behind the line of scrimmage.
One of Greshik's sack was, well, I guess he was the only one with sacks, but I know the first one he just chased him out of bounds.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything overly special.
I mean, I don't remember even hitting the guy.
This whole what else we got over here in the side that's, I know I said today to air your grievances, but it's,
hey,
there is, and I'm not telling anybody how to fan one way or the other if they want to,
Yeah. Marcus does bring up a good point. They did this. The opening script was okay. I mean, you miss on that touchdown, and then you get the ball back, and you go down and score.
That one hurt real bad. You overthrow the ball 10 yards to a guy that's 5 steps clear of the of the safety or the corner back there, and then immediately throw the pick after that. And then when they did drive down, as far as creativity goes, the play to Shaman for the touchdown was pretty creative. You line him up on the end of your line, but they attacked the middle of the field there. He was essentially totally uncovered, and it was still a nice little pass right over the top of the
everything about it was good. And then
it was great.
And then it was like here were our best plays, and then Iowa State got a chance to look at it and make whatever adjustments they made, and it was like, oh, well, we're done.
It's such a head scratcher. Like, sit here and like you said, like it's one thing to lose games. Kind of, that was expected. Yes, did the season start out where they beat EKU, which we expected, but they looked good doing it. Like they did all the right things, and you get to Pitt, and yeah, maybe you think Pitt is like really, really good, but they did beat a pretty good Louisville team yesterday. A Louisville team that beat Notre Dame. So since Cincinnati beat Pitt, I guess there's hope. But with that game, and I keep remembering a comment you made after the Pitt game where we were talking. We were very excited as we sat here that next morning. You said, "Let's just not get out of our skis too much."
Yeah.
So I think you got to pull obviously back a bit on your skis. We are in quite danger of maybe only winning 2 or 3 games this year, and I could maybe stomach that. That would suck real bad. I could stomach it if they looked competent on the field, and yesterday they didn't look competent whatsoever, and it's very, very concerning.
Yeah, I could only take from the last thing that I've been shown. And you can be frustrated with all 3 of the losses previous to this. You were frustrated because the games were competitive, and the things that were keeping UC from having a good season, or the things that were keeping them from winning those games, you think are either law of averages will work themselves out, or they're correctable things. After the Iowa State game, you look at those things, and those things are still happening. But then you're now wondering, okay, like, what the heck did we do for 2 weeks? Like, I wasn't necessarily wondering, after the Miami, Oklahoma, and BYU games, like, I wasn't saying these guys were totally unprepared and just were flat basically the entire game. We weren't saying that. We were saying, another game where we can't score in the red zone, where you have 500 yards of offense, or another game where you can't convert the 3rd and shorts to the critical 4th and shorts. That had nothing to do with this game. So that's the problem to me now, is that now you have to fix that part going into just, hey, another Big 12 game against a team that, has not played well, but you're not playing well either. And then, so you got to fix the mental part of it and the bounce back part of it, while still trying to figure out what the hell's going on, especially on offense.
Yeah. I mean, they haven't scored, 1 touchdown this week at home. Like, I'm so, there's a lot of things that I would like to say that are just leave them out
for sure. I have things that I think that I'm not going to say yet, but I'm not like anybody else that this is what being a fan of a team that has built up expectations for the last however many years, not just the last 6, right. But like
go all the way back to the
through a lot of eras of coaches. You just we've been good, so it doesn't happen very often, and it's totally understandable that it will happen on occasion. Like, not excusing it, but it's understandable that from time to time a team will just not have it that day. But in this situation, under these circumstances,
it's unacceptable.
Coming into this game, that just can't happen. Like, you can get beat because you're just not as good. And you can get beat bad because you're not as good and you made a bunch of errors. But like, they didn't get beat because they didn't get beat 30-10 because like Iowa State is 20 points better than them. They got beat because like their attention to detail stinks, and their motivation for this game didn't seem to be anywhere near what it's been for other games.
Yeah. Josh says over here, he didn't think they were unprepared. He just thought that they kind of appeared to give up pretty quick after they missed those first couple of opportunities. Yeah. It did kind of look like there wasn't like, I don't know, kind of a, I mean, you're still kind of in the.
What it's 17-7. You give up a 75-yard kick return on the second half opening kickoff.
Yeah, but then you hold them to a field goal. Your
but
defense,
the 75-yard part though sets the tone.
Yeah, no, absolutely,
like
it does. But your defense then kind of picks up your special teams for the last time, and after that it was just. You're still in the game there, right? Like when it's a 10-point game, really, even you're kind of in the game, and when it's 20-7 and 20-10.
Yeah, I mean,
but there was no sense of urgency, and there was no. Like,
you're in the game.
As much as you were, you're in the game as much as you were, when it was 7-3 when you were up.
Yes, you're in the game from the sense of.
Is it doable?
Right. Like, yeah, you're in the game, but like
you're not down 3 scores with.
We were going to go score a touchdown, stop them, and then go score another touchdown.
Well, if you revert back to the team you were when you scored your only touchdown, yes, I mean that's showing on that drive, sure.
Yeah.
But the problem on top of everything else is consistency. And we talked about that too. Like the problem is they've been consistently bad.
Yeah. I mean, the book is out right now on this offense that if you can kind of stop the run initially and just kind of sit on the DBs, the deep ball, like take your chance giving up the deep ball because they haven't been able to connect on it, and just the best you can based on your personnel, smother the receivers because they're just not getting open.
Yeah, which is, I mean,
and then when they are open, we don't complete it. We throw it, we overthrow it. There was one where I don't know if it was D or Braden Smith was on the far sideline, kind of like crossing, threw it behind him.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think it was Braden because I feel like he had a couple passes to Braden that were just not where they should have been.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a lot of passes in the game that were not where they should have been. So, pick a receiver, and I'm sure that they had a pass that, or several that were not.
Now you're getting ready for another game. Quick, they just keep coming, and you got a team coming off of a bye that has, outside of a unbelievable comeback against UCF, has a win against Long Island University that wasn't even pretty. They have a loss to Texas State. They got rolled up pretty good by Texas Tech last week. So, but they've got to be watching this game going, yeah, these guys are in the same boat as we are. And we can go in there and beat them because they're shown to be pretty easy to stop, and a good defense and a good front that we thought coming into the year just hasn't really came through.
I mean, we thought that at least that that front seven were like would wreak havoc, and that hasn't happened. It doesn't seem like. I guess Deshaun had the most tackles, but doesn't seem like he can really cover anybody.
Nobody's making any plays.
Nobody. I mean, it comes down to winning one-on-ones, and we've said it before, and our guys just aren't doing it. They aren't winning.
Three interceptions. Three interceptions. Another game where, again, I said credited with 2 sacks, but I mean, we weren't really around him that much. Another game where we stink on third down. You give up, what was the one? It's 3rd and goal from the 13. We drop 8 guys and somehow blow a coverage and leave the tight end just wide
we dropped
open.
8 guys only to the goal line. Nobody was in the end zone. He literally went straight to the back of the end zone and was like
standing between a safety and a corner.
Yeah, I mean, our Marcus says that he looks for them to challenge our DBs consistently. I mean, that's fair. That's that's kind of
over time. You're still not going to be able to run the ball against this defense at a very high level. So you're going to try to, and then when you see that it's not really going to work, they're just going to do what Iowa State did. You beat this team throwing the ball. It's been clear from the get-go. You beat this team throwing the ball.
How much of this is on the coaching staff?
A ton. The in-game stuff, is not like Jordan Young dropping an interception. You're not convincing me that's on the coaching staff. Emory Jones throwing the ball 5 yards over a wide open receiver's head is not on the coaching staff. Those plays were drawn up well, executed well, had individual efforts in the play that Jordan Young undercutting the route, but you got to complete the play. D. Wiggins streaking by his man and the line protecting enough for Emory to throw the ball, but you have to complete the play.
You got to hit the pass.
I didn't see it, but Eric Phillips, you can't even put yourself in a position to get that call.
So I went back and rewatched that. His hands hit him in the head, but as he came through and put his hands up and came forward, the quarterback kind of ducked and leaned this way. So that's just where his hands landed. He didn't do anything overtly, but you can't. You just can't hit the quarterback.
I don't. I'm not saying it was a bad call, and maybe there was nothing he could do about it. But
I think by the letter of the law, it's the right call. I think by
you hit a quarterback in the head, they're probably going to throw a flag.
I think the spirit of that particular play, it shouldn't have been called because it wasn't, but it was called, and like you said, you can't put yourself in a position where that even has the chance to be called. And
there are other situations like that, but you give up a 41-yard kickoff return, and you it's inexcusable to then turn around coming right out of the half and give up a 75 one. The guy didn't break a bunch of tackles; he just ran through
everyone.
The special teams.
Yeah.
Yes, Iowa State has really, really good DBs, but so we have no way of throwing the ball against them at all. We just, we're just that inept. We can't get anybody open. We can't get the ball to Xavier Henderson or Braden Smith or Aaron Turner, or Shimon. We just, that's on. Yes, absolutely, Grant. There's a lot of this that is on coaching, and just the overall. After the first 5 or 10 minutes of the game, just, like it's been said, felt like if a couple things went against us, it was just oh, well, no worries, no reason to try to fight back in this game. So what happens against Baylor, I have no damn idea. This team has not shown me that they can be consistent in almost anything, and until this coaching staff can prove that they can make adjustments and get guys up for games and find the right personnel groupings and whatnot, it doesn't lend a ton of confidence going forward for the next and last 6 in the season.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of add a little bit to that, and I know maybe it seems like we're, I don't know, kicking a dog while it's down, or beating a dead horse or whatever. But when you have a bye week and the season hasn't up to that point gone the way that you think maybe it should have, there's some losses or whatever behind that. You hit the bye week, that's where you expect your coaches to step in, to have some positive effect, to put implement some changes, to hopefully maybe when you come out of the bye week, maybe there's you see some changes to the areas in which you were having the biggest struggles prior to the bye week, and maybe something else kind of falls off because you worked so hard at these other things. And what I saw was a team that essentially fell off in every category and didn't improve anywhere. And that's the part that's on the coaches.
Yeah, and that's why I don't think we're beating the dead horse, because this wasn't the case for the other losses.
Yeah. Okay.
Like they stunk on third down again this week, but I mean,
but they didn't rack up 500 yards of offense, but failed down in the red zone. They had no offense.
Right. This is the first time these other issues have popped up, and maybe it's the only time. And it was a wake up call to everybody. And in year one, that's something that absolutely can happen. But then, okay, show me these next 6. What are you guys made of? Like, what are the players made of? What are the coaches made of? Are you even willing to entertain the idea of playing the Bradys moving forward? Or are we just going to be loyal to a guy that we brought in and was our choice, as a transfer quarterback, and we're just going to roll with him through the rest of the year?
I know of another team that had a quarterback come in, and they weren't afraid to make a change. But and maybe, I don't know, maybe there's things we're not seeing in obviously in practice or whatever, and they're like, you guys really don't want to see.
Oh, for sure.
Something else.
We kind of had that conversation last year.
Yeah, absolutely, we did. So if that's the case, then maybe some phone calls need to be some of these early connections need to be made with some quarterbacks elsewhere for a portal pickup.
Yeah.
I would like to believe that it's maybe just kind of, hey, and I think 6 games is a pretty fair amount of time for you to say, like, okay, like, do we have something here? Is this going to work? If it's not working, maybe we do put somebody from our bench out there and allow them to try to see if maybe that's a spark. Maybe they offer something to this offense that we're not seeing right now. And if that's the case, moving forward, we use them. And if we got to kind of flip it and have a different package for because obviously those quarterbacks, I think Lichtenberg is much more of a pocket passer.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, I would say that the offense isn't built around that, but I don't even know what the offense is built around. So
yeah, I don't. Right, and I think he's got some running ability in him. I'm not sure he's if that's you want him doing that a ton, but and you're going to be playing teams. Iowa State and Oklahoma, I think, are pretty far and away the 2 best defenses they're going to play this year. And maybe that factors into it, but it hasn't mattered what the defense or how good it is. Emory has thrown interceptions that you just can't throw. Like, regardless, Miami got him on one, the same as Oklahoma did, the same as BYU did, the same as Iowa State did. It's all the same, similar types of throws. And if guys aren't winning, then and making the plays, it's tough to just say, they said they were close coming into this week. Well, then they took a massive step backwards. So what do you say now?
Well, Brian wants to open all positions.
I mean, I don't disagree,
no,
but I don't know. I just don't. I don't think they have the depth or the talent. Like, I think the best players are playing at a lot of these positions, and so that is more reflective of the overall talent of the roster, which is then on the coaches to, not all bad teams is just because they have a bunch of bad players.
Correct.
And,
I mean, there's certainly blame to be handed out across.
And you can coach them up and figure it out against equal talented teams, ways to get your maybe not as good as we hoped players into positions to win games.
Yes, Natalie, that he
For
is
sure.
He always has a running quarterback, or he has at least a mobile quarterback. And certainly the reason why Emery was brought in, and probably played, obviously quite a bit into why Ben left.
But at this stage, does Emery Jones give you the best chance to win? And if he still gives you the best chance to win, then keep playing him.
Keep rolling him out there.
Figure out why we're throwing the same interceptions, and figure out calls to make that don't put him in that position. And then if your answer to all those questions is that there aren't any call, then I'm like, then you got to put somebody else in.
I think you've got to try. Like, I guess what Drogas has probably got some like red shirt concerns. Like,
he's played one game, so he could play in 3 more and still be red shirted.
Okay, so really at this point,
but with the portal, I'm not worried about that. Like, I'm worried about winning games in year 1. It is possible to. The year 0 is over. With the portal, and we were supposed to be hiring a P5 level coach who is used to a transition and is and the reason we discounted any assistant, which I don't think was necessarily wrong, was doing this transition with a coaching change. We prefer not to have someone also doing the head coaching role for the first time, and I have no issues with that line of thinking.
Right. But
if you're gonna have that line of thinking, then I'm not giving you the benefit of the doubt of like roster overturn and first year in the Big 12, because we were supposed to be mitigating that by hiring someone who can handle all of those things. So a 2-10 season
doesn't say
under
that.
These circumstances is completely unacceptable, and tells me that hiring the head coach with head coaching experience was not as big of a need on your checklist that
that you made it out to be.
Some of these other guys, right?
I mean, something has got to change. It's got to change pretty quickly to show that there's some fight, to show that this team is moving in the right direction, and I hope that it starts next week at Baylor. But they're coming off a bye week. Are they going to be are they going to come out of their bye week as flat as we came out of our bye week? Like, I don't know. Our guys maybe use this as a wake-up call, but you would think the loss to Miami at home would have been a wake-up call of sorts. You just cannot have a culture develop where it's like, that's just kind of how we are this year. We're just not very good this year. We just can't get things together this year, and we're gonna try again next year, because this, like, that's not who Cincinnati football has become, and it's not acceptable at the fan level, and it shouldn't be acceptable in the locker room and on the field.
Right.
So, obviously we'll see where this goes moving forward. If there is gonna be kind of an experiment, if you want to call it, or a thrown right into the fire kind of thing for one of these younger quarterbacks, and maybe some other younger guys if they've earned the right to get an opportunity on the field. I mean, like Brian said over there, that Emory has earned the situation of 2 quarterbacks nipping at his heels.
Yeah, those guys have to also show that they're ready to for the coach to put them in that position, because if the coach makes that move, it's very hard to come back to the other guy. And if they're even worse, and then we're sitting here going, well, you've been watching them in practice, and
why did you run them out there now?
And you saw that this was a potential. Why would you do that? So yeah, I mean, there's real conversations that have to be had. Nick asked how concerned should we be about the staff's ability to navigate the portal. I mean, right now there's concern about everything. I mean,
across the entirety of what they're being tasked with doing.
They added an impact guy in this group. I think there's guys that are solid P5 starters, but I'm not disagreeing with anything he's saying. I think, unless you have certain circumstances, I think the portal in year 1 can be tough, especially given what UC went through from we're just trying to find some guys that can fill out a roster with not having a ton of time to build the relationship. Not an excuse, if year 2, if they're as active as they were this year, and we'll see who leaves after the season, and they're as active as they are this year, and you have 2 fairly large portal classes, and then next year you're not getting really anything out of them, then sure, absolutely, let's have a very real conversation about that.
And here's the thing is, from here to the end of the season, if we start to see growth, I mean, obviously they haven't really shown a lot across anywhere that, for me to expect that that's going to happen. But if from here to the end of the season, things start an upward trend, good to go. Let them start to move in, and it doesn't, like we said, it doesn't even have to be wins. Wins would be nice, but at this point, I just want to see growth and improvement across the team and not heading the opposite direction, which is what we saw this week.
Right. That's the 2 main concerns, is that the team did not seem to handle any adversity well and lost all energy that they had within the first 10 minutes. And that from an offensive standpoint, we're going backwards. And Emory's going backwards, but so is everything else is going backwards. So it's all tied together. They still have 6 games left. They still have 6 games against outside of West Virginia and Kansas. Oklahoma State's got it going. That's going to be certainly a very, very difficult game in Stillwater. But they're playing teams that if they play well, they can beat. But they're not playing well, so they have to figure that part out. We have gone on and on about this.
Yeah.
So let's quickly. Anything? What was your big takeaway? Your game that caught your eye the most in college football yesterday?
I'm gonna steal probably the one that is the easiest. Is Oregon Washington was a whole lot of fun to watch.
That was a very fun college football game. I enjoyed that immensely. Other than the fact that I had Oregon +3.
Well, that's sometimes you win some, you lose some, Dave.
Tie is better than loss with how I've been going lately.
I mean, when you that, I know it might be cliche to say, but that's one of those games where you're like, man, neither team should be coming out of this game with a loss. Maybe just give one team a win and the other one just forget about it for them. But that,
yeah.
I mean, and Dan Land, his ability, he says it best. They asked him, coming off the field, he went for it on 4th down. It wasn't. He's like, look, we're here to win. I'm coaching to win, and that's how you do it. And if they, either make a play or they don't make a play, we didn't make it there, but whatever. That was a really, really good college football game. It was a really good football game all around. Fun to watch. competitive. It wasn't like sloppy. I mean, it was just
a lot of fun, a lot of big time plays being made. I
mean, considering you do have two quarterbacks that have been in the NCAA for like a combined 15 years, but
yes, for
you're
sure.
going to expect that out of it. But
Notre Dame took it to USC. I think we're seeing what USC actually is, and they have they still play Oregon, Washington, UCLA, and Utah.
Yeah, it could get real ugly.
Yeah.
For them.
Yeah, like, I think Oregon. I think obviously some things are going to have to go their way, but like I still think Oregon and Washington are both positioned to still possibly make the playoff, even with the loss to Oregon, because they're still going to play Oregon State, who's had a really good year. I don't think anything's done yet with the Pac-12. Michigan, Indiana Stakes. Michigan did what they should do.
Yeah, Alabama, Arkansas.
A little closer than the experts predicted, I'm assuming.
Did you see Saban's comment about KJ Jefferson after the game?
I did not.
So he's in the press conference and he was like, when you see a quarterback that can take a hit there was a play where they had like a cornerback blitz and the cornerback flies in and hits KJ Jefferson and he just kind of like shrugs him off and just like throws him around the side and like kept rolling out. And he's like, when you got a quarterback that can take a major college football player and throw him around like a gnat on a fly's ass, fly on a gnat on a cow's ass, that's just really impressive. Like he couldn't get his words together, but he wanted to get it out there that he was complimenting his ability to just be like, like you're not gonna run me over. And we saw we saw what KJ Jefferson could do last year. So that was a nice little comment from Saban. But yeah, Alabama struggled there a little bit.
We got the Vols at Alabama next week, so look forward to watching that one. After we
that
get
was an
back
exciting game too.
It was a close game. I'm not sure I'd call it exciting.
Well, what the D. Williams punt return wasn't exciting for you?
That was good. That was exciting.
What was it, like a 35-yard punt return?
Yeah, I think it was like 35, 40 yards.
Like a pop-up punt?
Yeah.
Kansas, Oklahoma State? Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State. Well, Jaden Daniels is not going to be able to play because of this back situation. Then they're going to struggle. I think Jason Bean is a really good backup, but he's just, Jaden Daniels is one of the top 5 players when healthy in the entire conference. So, and Oklahoma State has finally picked a quarterback, and they have a real nice running back, and they kind of figured some stuff out. So, it will be interesting to see how they do the rest of the year.
Missouri put the screws to Kentucky.
Yeah, the SEC is still just like kind of okay.
Yeah. Oh man, I did not see this. The Arizona Washington State game.
Yeah, Arizona whooped them.
That you could say that.
Yeah. But what else in the Houston? Didn't get the Dana Bowl.
Oh god! That was going on, I was just laughing so hard because of like the jokes that we made at the end of last week, and then it suddenly like my jokes were like falling flat because they throw a Hail Mary and you're like, no.
It was one of the craziest last 5 minutes of a football game that I've watched in a long, long time.
I did see a screenshot from a Houston individual that came across my timeline that their first Big 12 win in women's soccer, women's volleyball, football has all been against West Virginia.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then the first team that their basketball team plays is West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
So, good for them down there.
Yeah. So that was Houston had Texas next, in a half-empty stadium already against West Virginia. If they didn't find a way to pull that game out, it could have gotten ugly next week. I'm trying to see if there's anything really good in conference next week, and there's kind of not. West Virginia, Oklahoma State's, from a standing standpoint, a pretty good game, but you have UCF at Oklahoma, Texas Tech at BYU, TCU at Kansas State, and then the
Houston and Texas.
Yep.
And then UC.
Yeah. So, but we went obviously a little bit longer. I think a lot about yesterday's game, a lot to discuss.
Natalie is just realizing that Pitt beat Louisville last night.
Yeah, Natalie, I didn't love that one either. For entertainment purposes only. But we will wrap this one up. Again, thank you, Natalie, Ty, Crypt Keeper, Kevin, the Thrifty Walrus, Nick Owens, Brian Johnson, Darren, all the guys and ladies that join us every Sunday morning. Very much appreciative of it. We will be back next Sunday, hopefully, to recap a UC win as they take on Baylor noon o'clock again. So everyone be ready for some strong breakfast cocktails next Sunday at the Grid or on top of Campus Green. So thank you to Jeff as always, Aaron, and all the Bearcat Brunch fans. We will see you again next week. Everybody have a great Sunday.